I see people making things, like goblets and vases, but none have any real purpose other than being a decorative ornament. So now it was time to make something that was truly usable. Here I'm going to use a real wine glass and adorn the outside with pistachio nutshells held in epoxy resin. The shells are glued to the outside of the glass, and then a mould is created around the glass and filled with a coloured resin. When cured, the whole thing will be turned on the lathe to make a custom drinking vessel. I'm filling the shell halves with resin to try and minimise air bubbles being formed when the resin fills the mould. This method proved to be very time-consuming and boring, so I gave up and just stuck the shells straight on. Oh, what a mistake! This was to cause problems later. I will be making end caps for both ends to ensure the glass stays perfectly central when on the lathe. As we all know, glass is very brittle and the slightest amount of out of balance could break the glass, completely ruining the project. The mould was to be made in 3 stages. The part made for the cup turned out to be a bit cumbersome. I had hoped the dissected bottle would have been all that was needed. I chose to use black resin because it gives a stunning contrast to the pistachio shells when turned smooth. Care had to be taken when I poured the resin into the mould, as I didn't want any entering the mouth of the glass and ruining it. This part was made to house my logo and allow me to hold the glass in the lathe whilst it was turned. The bottom end plate was secured with super glue and centered up using the tailstock, ensuring everything was straight while the glue set. More shell halves, that just seemed to appear from nowhere. A plastic cup with the bottom removed made for a perfect mould. Oops, thought I had broken the stem then. And if by magic they appear. Now with all the moulds removed, it was time for some turning. I'm using a square carbide tool that I find the best when turning resin that has not been trued up. I find that I get a lot less chip out with the square tool than I do with the round. A round tool performs far better than a square tip when everything is running smooth and true. The turning was going very well, with hardly any chip out, but there were a few voids where air had got trapped during the resin pour. A result of not enough patience earlier on. I knew this part of the turning was going to become difficult from now on, because I only wanted the surface layer to be about 1 to 1.5 millimeters thick. So I made this template from another glass to help me get the shape right. As you can see, the base needs a fair bit of shaping. The template was the ideal solution to a potentially massive problem, even though in the end, the glass turned out to be slightly different from the template shape. All the voids in the resin have been filled with UV resin and turned smooth. Well, that's it for turning, just the usual hours of sanding through the grits and then layers of lacquer to build up the finish. Wow. You can bet your bottom dollar you won't get one of those in your high street store.